Hello, adventurers, and welcome back to the Dragon's Lair. Today we're going to be discussing everyone's favorite diplomat, Alyss. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Starting off with strength. She's not expressly weak. I want to be very clear about that. That's not what I'm thinking here. But she never really uses her strength score, right? So you have to take that into consideration when giving her skills. So usually, I'm going to go ahead and say spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, we should be good, just to cover my bases. But usually someone else is there to take care of the fighting, right? Probably going to be a ranger. Could be someone like Horus, though, which would technically be a knight. But you get the point, where someone else is going to be the one doing the fighting. She's just kind of there to talk people through a situation, which will become important later. That being said, she does carry a dagger on her for self-defense, which is not a strength-based weapon. So it's not really going to play into effect here. There is an example, though, of some strength, which was the boating trip between her and Evanlyn, where she was able to boat for quite a while, paddle a boat for quite a while, under extreme stress and very little sleep. So there is that. I think all in all, I'm going to say for her strength score, it's probably going to be somewhere around 10 to, I would say 14 at the absolute max. I would probably go somewhere closer to 10, though. That's just me. So, like, 10, maybe 12. But, like, if you are really gung-ho about the boat scene, then 14, you know, could work. As for dexterity, she's not expressly great at this either. That being said, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, we should be good. She hangs around rangers a lot, so she's going to pick up things like stealthy movement and dodging. She is also a very small woman, so it is important to note that from an AC standpoint, she's going to be small, so she's going to be harder to hit, right? From that aspect. Pair that with the fact that she does know how to use a dagger, although probably not the best ever with the dagger, but she does have one in case of self-defense, so that's going to play in as well. All in all, I'm saying probably 12 to absolute maximum of 16, I would say. Just because she doesn't use the score hardly ever, but she does have a few different things in her favor for the skill, if need be. Into Constitution. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to go off of here. The only thing I really do have would be the 24-hour boat ride. Which I'll give her. You know, it drew on her, like, physicality, so she was able to handle it. That being said, it's not really expected of the diplomatic service to go and do those sorts of things. So depending on your take of that, I'm going to say her Constitution score is somewhere between 8 and 12. I personally would actually probably lean more towards 12, but I'm giving a little bit of wiggle room depending on the type of Alyss you're going to want to make. Into Intelligence. She'll just say something if I miss something. Mm-hmm. Cool. Into Intelligence. Yeah, this is kind of more her speed, right? It's her job to think things through, be able to figure up different treaties and different things with the leaders of each kingdom or country, to be able to go and explain her positions and kind of talk through different problems that people are having and that sort of thing. Right? So, like, that's kind of her job. She has to know what she's willing to, or she has to know what her country wants and needs and what she's willing to give up, as well as to really be good at it, she needs to know what their country needs as well as what their country is willing to give up in these negotiations, you know? So that sort of thing. All of that together is going to pair on her intelligence. And I'm going to say it's pretty high. I'm saying 16 to 18, 20 by the end of, or by a higher level campaign, you know? Going into Wisdom kind of plays into it, where she has to make these treaties, right? As the diplomatic service, she has to figure out what the problems are, and then figure out a way to solve the problems, and then put those problems, the solutions rather, into practice. Tying it back to Wisdom, it kind of goes more with putting what you know into action, into practice. That being said, wisdom is generally speaking something you gain as you get older and as you do things more. So this wisdom score kind of needs to reflect that, because obviously as you make more treaties, as you solve more problems, you're going to get better overall at solving those problems, or those types of problems, right? That being said, she was good enough in the beginning to get placed on what seems to be a more major assignment, which is why she did an extended period of time with Halt. Right. So for that to kind of reflect the different things, I'm going to say 12 to 16, with 18 being more than feasible by the end. But to reflect that you gain wisdom as you go on, and also keeping in mind the fact that she did have a pretty solid start to begin with, right? So I would say above average start to begin with, but she got better as time went on. So to reiterate, 12 to 16, 18 being more than possible by the higher level campaign. Into charisma. This is kind of her job as well, right? She has to present these different policies and treaties to the other leaders in the best way possible to make it the most enticing to them to want to participate, right? So, you know, she's the talker of the group, right? She goes in, she's thought of these treaties, they've worked together for a while, and now it's just the presentations and trying to get people on her side, trying to convince them to join her, right? Also, in the event of a no on the treaty, she has to go back and report to King Duncan, right? So she has to be able to break this bad news in the best way possible. King Duncan isn't really the type to get mad because someone said no to a treaty, because he knows that his diplomatic service has done the best it could, right? But he's still probably not going to be the happiest because the treaty fell through, and usually he wouldn't be wanting a treaty if he didn't need one, or it wasn't something that would very well benefit him and the other kingdom, but that's neither here nor there. The only real bad instance of charisma that I have was from the boat trip, where Alyss and Evelyn had been up for a long period of time, physically exerting themselves constantly. And, you know, it's just an all-around bad situation. And they kind of got a little upset at each other. And personally, I think it was out of character for the both of them. But it is technically canon, so here it is. I'm addressing it now. So that is an instance of bad charisma, and I will have to adjust for that in the score. Overall, I'm going to say 16 to 18, with 20 being more than feasible pretty early on, actually. And yes, this is accounting for the bad charisma instance. I think she's just that charismatic, and it is her job that it overcomes the one instance of her flying off the handle because she had just been up for like 24 hours straight under constant physical duress.
She did also help Halt.
You're right. She kind of helped Halt, you know, get out of his mad mode. Because he had just lost Will as an apprentice. He was kind of down in the dumps, and they were like, here, take Will's girlfriend. I don't know why they thought it would work, but it did. So, you know. But, yeah, thank you for that, Chell. Straightforward build, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go human variant, right? You're going to go with... So that's going to give you plus 1 to 2 different ability scores. Probably going to be intelligence and charisma. Could be wisdom, though. And if you're really daring, do constitution. But yeah, you're going to go for that. You're going to take your proficiency in... I have it as either persuasion or insight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although it's not going to matter, because for your feat, you're going to go with skill. So you're going to take the other one, and you're going to do from there... what were the two? I forget offhand.
Investigation and perception.
There we go. I knew it started with an I, but investigation or perception. Or if your DM is running a bit of a more magic-friendly campaign, go with Arcana. Your choice, though. Yeah. From there, you're going to go Bard. Specifically, have it as lore, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what that's going to do is it's going to give you expertise in a few different things. So you're going to go with those main the 4 main skills that you just chose, right? So you're going to go with probably, sorry, for some reason it escaped me. Insight, investigation, persuasion, sorry, and what was the last one? Perception?
I'm seeing deception, performance, intimidation.
Yeah, those are the other charisma skills. Those are the skills you're going to choose under the lore things. Scroll down one more bullet point. It should be there.
Yes.
So what are those two?
Insight and persuasion.
Insight and persuasion, and the other two are the investigation and
perception
or arcana, depending on what you did. So essentially, whatever proficiencies you chose from your race bonus, expertise in those. For the extra skills you get as being a bard, to reiterate, I know we just said it, but you're going to go with the other charisma-based skills, so you're going to go with deception, performance, and intimidation. Just to kind of flesh out the charisma-based build of a bard and of Alyss. Even though she's probably never really going to use intimidation, although I could see instances where it would be feasible. You know, Horus is looming in the background, you got Will on the other side with his bow looking nonchalant off at nothing, you know, that sort of thing, right? You know, two big guys behind you could probably intimidate some people with that. Yeah. So from there, what you're going to do, and this is a little odd, but you're going to go with different charisma-based spells as a bard. And your goal is going to be to cast these spells without your character knowing that they're casting them, right? Without Alyss knowing she's casting a spell. So, they're technically going to be enchantment spells, right? But you're gonna want to cast them in a way. So for that, you might have to talk to your DM and see if he or she will waive like material components and that sort of thing, and also waive the specifications that people know that a spell was cast on them. People can know that they've been affected by you, right? Or affected by something, but not that a spell specifically was doing the affecting. This, of course, assuming your DM is running a very Arlen-based campaign, which is no magic, or very, very limited magic. Just to kind of make it a more non-magic friendly campaign, but to where you can still do or have effects as Alyss. I'm forgetting something. What's up with it? The lore, is there anything else under?
No.
I guess I could talk about inspiration, right? How Alyss might go about inspiring people. Mm-hmm. She would probably do it before the main battle instead of like in the main battle as a bonus action, as much as she could. Or if she were to do it, she would be doing things like pointing out different holes that she might see from a distance, or from a distance of the fight in their defense lines. So like saying to Will, hey, look, that guy over there is alone and, you know, not really behind anything, right? That sort of thing. Giving tips, tricks, that sort of thing. To kind of do the inspiration from that aspect. But aside from that, she would be inspiring to people outside of combat where it's like, hey, you did a really good, you do really good with bows and arrows, or you are really good, Horus, at hitting things with your sword. Keep it up. You know, that sort of thing. Into the conceptual build. You could go High Elf. You could also go Changeling, but I think High Elf works better with Alyss. For the class, you're going to go Wizard, specifically Enchantment Wizard, which has a very similar focus on the enchantment-based spells. It just gives you benefits to those. There's one more thing down towards the bottom of the... after... It says... You see it at all?
Extra utility, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's what it would be. The extra utility. So, as a wizard, you have access to more spells, so not all of them are going to be enchantment-based. You can also do it... You can also do a build that uses some extra utility, right? So, when you're not going into a talking scenario, you can do things that give yourself and other characters extra utility. This is, of course, for a more magic-friendly campaign, where your character knows that she's a wizard and that sort of thing, and is going about doing that. Just to give you some use outside of combat and outside, or, well, technically, actually, it would be within combat and then outside of negotiation instances. right? So that sort of thing. That's the aspect. That's the benefit to going wizard over bard. That's trying to like cast spells without knowing casting spells. So that's really kind of the difference there. But yeah, enchantment wizards gain a lot of bonuses to different enchantment spells, like the ability at one point to target more than one creature with their spells if originally the spell only targets one. That sort of thing. But yeah, moving into backstory. Alyss grew up in the Redmont Fife ward. With Will, she gained a very large attachment to Will, and vice versa, because they grew up in similar situations and were together the longest. Come her choosing day, on her 16th birthday, or right around, they did everyone's choosing day at once, but, you know, when they were turning 16 that year, she was allowed an apprenticeship under Lady Pauline in the diplomatic service, and this is where her story begins. But that is all I have for you fine adventurers today, and unfortunately for us all, that will wrap up the series. So, in my usual fashion, here is the hint. The name of this TV series has a lot to do with the consumption of a certain type of music. Do with that what you will. Good luck! And remember, if you can't possibly wait until my next series, feel free to check out my Discord or come hang out on Twitch. Other than that, I will catch you all later.